What's up guys, it's Mindset Performance Coach Adam Carmichael here. In today's video, you're going to be learning how to crush your poker goals in 2022. Now, before I dive into this complicated looking diagram, which is actually quite simple once we get into it, I want to remind you to stick around to the end of this video as I have a special announcement to make about a coaching opportunity that's becoming available in the next few weeks. Alright, so let's dive into how to crush your goals in 2022. Now, first of all, let's start with why do we set goals at the start of a year? Anyway, we're just going into the first week of 2022 as I'm shooting this video, and a lot of us are setting New Year's resolutions, new goals, and thinking about what we're going to achieve for the year ahead. And I always use this time to reflect on why do we set goals at New Year? Why don't we set goals ongoing? Why do we have to wait for this opportunity? And sometimes I have this kind of back and forth relationship with New Year's goals where I'm like, just have the goal set anyway. You don't need to wait till New Year. But after a bit of research, it's actually quite clear why it's a good time to set goals. It's a good time to set your direction for the year. The first reason is something called temporal landmarks, all right? And these are basically just chunks of time or segments of time which allow us to go into the next period with a new mindset. All right, so for example, a Monday is a temporal landmark because it starts the week, ends the old week. The start of a month is a temporal landmark, and the start of a year is the ultimate one. Basically, it just means it gets us to stop, reflect, and take note of what we're doing with our lives. If we didn't have those and every day was just mundane and went into the next one, we'd often drift off course a lot easier. All right, so it's actually quite good to use these to your benefits. We've often got seasons as temporal landmarks. We've even got like Christmas and New Year as well. So we've got seasons and occasions that create these moments. Then also with the new year, we've got this thing called the fresh start effect. All right, the psychologists call it the fresh start effect, which basically means we look at the future with an optimistic lens that we can be a different version of ourselves and that what happened previously is irrelevant. All right, that's got good and bad sides, but if you're not on track to your goals right now, or you haven't achieved what you wanted to, awesome. You can use the start of the year to create a fresh start. All right, it's often a mental fresh start. It's not actually an actual physical fresh start, but it gives us this feeling that the old me can get left behind in the past, and the new me can go forward and achieve new things. Now, I think we can do this anytime. Any day of the week, you can wake up and create a fresh start effect, but most of us don't use that, and most of us don't think that is true for ourselves. But the start of the year, a lot of people, if not majority of people, get this new enthusiasm that, wait a second, this next year can be different. My future self can be better than my past self. All right, so with those two factors, it creates this kind of opening effect where we can start to use those. Now, just having that enthusiasm that things are going to be different, does that mean you're going to achieve your goals? Hell no, right? And after we go through today's system, you'll see why we need to plan it with a whole structure in order to achieve our goals going forward. But we should capitalize on the new enthusiasm. If you're feeling excited about this year, or you're thinking, you know what, I'm just going to change things around and I'm going to get things going in the right direction and set new goals and achieve new things, awesome, use that enthusiasm. But then you need to pair that enthusiasm with a clear structure and a clear plan. All right, so that's what we're going to map out today. All right, so when I first started setting goals, one of the most common ways to do this would be through SMART goals. All right, I'm sure you've got a lot of you guys have heard of SMART goals. Generally, it's this acronym which stands for certain things. S is usually specific, M measurable, A achievable, R reliable, T timely, something in that realm. All right, now when you look back at where SMART goals came from, they were designed for managers to control their employees. They wanted basically the workforce to be very productive towards very specific outcomes that the manager could measure. They then got extrapolated to all goal setting worldwide, no matter what it was. And in all honesty, when I started using them, it felt a little bit forced. For example, if I'm putting a goal down for the year, the A stands for achievable. I'm not going to put down an unachievable goal. It's already kind of written into my goal setting. So I always found them a little bit rigid and they never really motivated me that much. I still set SMART goals occasionally for some performance measures like the gym stuff, but in all honesty, I've moved away from that. And for a while, I started to move away from goal setting altogether, but now I've come full circle and I realized there's a framework we can use that can actually get the benefits of the specific SMART goals, but also give us better long-term kind of goals to aim for, all right, long-term structures to use as well. All right, so today we're going to explore how we can set long-term goals that are sustainable, that lead to modified behavioral change, and that we can get us going in a direction towards specific outcomes. All right, now I've just done a year review with my poker athletes. Everyone reviewed their performance for the year, and we reflected on things that went well, things that could improve, and goals going into the next year. A common theme that came up was a lot of players set very rigid goals. For example, $100 cash game reg could set the goal of playing $500 cash games or 1Ks by the end of the year. It's a very black or white, pass or fail metric. All right, and a lot of players would feel a little bit disappointed if they didn't achieve this metric. All right, this goal set that they've set. When in reality, a lot of players, as we reflected on the year together, a lot of players felt really happy with their year. A lot of players made a lot of progress in a lot of areas, and even though they didn't get that definitive end checkpoint, their year was a big success in ways they didn't even realize. All right, so today we're going to go through a much more powerful framework of how to incorporate all the kind of factors of setting good goals, but by creating a better hierarchy. All right, now for myself, when I've been coaching players and making my own transformations, I've realized the most powerful level of change is with identity. All right, you change your identity first, and everything else comes downstream of that. All right, so if I can change who I am, if I can change my thoughts and my belief systems around myself, I can change all habits, all behaviors from that lens. All right, now I found a great journal which I'm going to put into the comments called How Focusing on Subordinate Goals Motivates Broad Long-Term Goal Pursuit by Hockley et al. All right, and subordinate just means identity-based goals. All right, this really motivated me to shoot today's video because it goes very much in hand with how I view a hierarchy of setting goals. All right, so today we're going to establish a framework and hierarchy of how to set goals that will last you the year, next year, and beyond. All right, you can pick your own goals for your own parts of your life, but I really feel like this framework is the most powerful that I found, and it goes hand in hand with how I've tried to solve the problem of not having smart goals, but also having a very clear path that I'm working towards. All right, so step one of good goals, in my opinion, is establishing a goal hierarchy. What does that mean? All right, so this is going to be our hierarchy. All right, we've got level 1, we've got level 2, and we've got level 3. All right, things are going downstream. Just mean this is the ultimate endpoint. All right, now often when we're trying to set this goal at the top, a lot of us get very specific with X amount of money, lose X amount of weight, play X stakes as a poker player. All right, and these aren't bad goals. I'm not saying I'll show you where they fit into the model, but in reality, you don't want those things. You want what those things will make you feel. All right, you think if you get those things, you'll be happier, you'll have more energy, X, Y, Z. But generally, what we're trying to be a better version of ourselves. All right, so the top level of the goal setting process is identity based. All right, it's who is your ideal self. All right, so we could just say who be ... All right, who are you trying to be in 2022? All right, are you trying to be healthy? Are you trying to be financially independent? Are you trying to be a great poker player? Who are you trying to be? Now, if you look at the normal kind of goal setting literature, people will be like, don't do this, don't start here. All right, I'm gonna show you why it's effective, but a lot of goal setting kind of approaches are, it should be very specific, very measurable. How are you gonna know if you've achieved this be healthy approach or be a better poker player? All right, I'm gonna show you why it's better to have this more broad terminology to begin with, and how the other nodes can help us to create a specific strategy to get that. All right, so top level is identity based. All right, so I'll say identity goals. And this is getting very clear. Who do you want to be in 2022? All right, get really, really clear. Do you want to be a healthier version of yourself? Do you want to be a richer version of yourself? Do you want to be a more successful version of yourself? You get clear on who you want to be, all right? So for today's video, to get it the most kind of generalized for a lot of you guys watching this, I'm going to say your goal for the year is not money. It's not a health outcome, although they might fit into it. I'm going to say it is to be a great poker player. All right, you can use that whatever terminology means great to you, but to be a great poker player. All right, if you achieve that goal at the end of the year, you were a great poker player by your own definition, would you be pretty happy? Most of you would, right? Obviously, use your own goals if you want to go for this exercise. But for today's demonstration and example, I'm going to use the identity goal is to be a great poker player. All right, this is our North Star. This is the thing we're striving towards, and this is the thing that we need to come with a plan on how to get there. All right, and if we achieve this, life is good. Now, what you'll find is you might not know when you've achieved it. All right, how do you know you're a quote-unquote great player? But imagine every year you're trying to become a great player and you're making really good steps towards that. This is a long-term goal. This might be a lifetime pursuit. It might be a decade-long pursuit to be a great poker player. And I feel like that's a much more powerful goal because we don't want to have to reset checkpoints or every second. We want this overreaching purpose or kind of North Star approach that is long-term, all right? It's very sustainable and we're making progress towards it. Also, it's not really pass-fail. It's not like, I'm a great poker player, tick. I'm not a great poker player, fail. All right, some of you guys might get particular and rate yourself that way, but in general, we're making progress towards it or we're not making progress towards it, all right? But it's not black and white, all right? And as we go through this system, you'll see how this creates a lot more flexibility with our approaches going forward, which leads us on to the second tier of the system, which is these 4 nodes here, all right? And the things, the plans, the directions that we need to take in order to become a great poker player, all right? And I'm gonna call these today intermediate goals, all right? Intermediate goals, because they're not super short term, they're not super long term, they could be called milestone goals, but they're intermediate goals by my definition. Now, these are the things that generally people would set as their goals, all right? And they're the actions and the milestones you need to achieve in order to be a great poker player, all right? So for example, you could set goals around your grinding hours, you could set goals around your studying, you could set goals around your mindset, goals around your performance, and get very specific on the things I need to do to be a great poker player, all right? So I'll just write the broad categories and then we'll talk about goals we could set for each of them. So first of all, grinding. Second, study. Third, mindset. And fourth, performance. All right, and these are the things that if you improve these areas, they would lead to you being a great poker player, all right? They're taking steps towards that, all right? So think of the ones for you. Obviously, if you've got a different goal up here, you're gonna have different nodes leading into it. If this was be healthy, you'd have food, exercise, sleep. But these are the biggest kind of bricks that are gonna lead us towards that next objective, all right? So how could these all fit into being a great poker player? What intermediate goals could you set? Well, for grinding, you could set a number of hours to do, weekly, monthly, yearly, in order to get yourself to be a great poker player. You could also create some performance measures around your performance, how your focus wants to be every time you play, all right? So some metrics around your grinding, all right? You could then create some goals around your studying. How many hours of studying do you want to do on a day, a week, a month, all right? What quality of studying, all right? You might class yourself as doing active studying compared to passive studying. Passive studying is watching videos and doing things that are very easy to consume. Active studying is using solvers, database analysis, detailed debates with friends. All right, so get certain metrics for your studying. How many hours you want to do and what quality, all right? Then we've got mindset. How are you improving your mindset, all right? You could have specific programs you're following, could be meditation habits, but certain things that you're doing to improve your mindset, all right? And certain weaknesses that you might want to overcome. Then we've got performance. All right, performance for me is very broad, but also one of the most powerful. It's your habits, it's your routines, it's how you're showing up day to day. All right, again, what things are going to lead to you performing better. All right, now, what's amazing about having this level below this level is you don't need to win all of these battles in order to be a great poker player. All right, so for example, I could study a lot, and that's helping me become a great poker player. I could grind a lot at a high quality. That's helped me become a great poker player. You might, over the course of the year, do well at some of them and bad at other ones. But over the course of a year, you're making progress. All right, you're making progress towards the ultimate outcome without this 100% success, 100% failure. Ideally, you'd make progress with all of them. All right, and at the end of the year, you could look back and go, I am becoming a great poker player. All 4 of the main variables went really well. But in all honesty, you're gonna have some passes, some fails, like most people. All right, but all of these lead up to the end goal. All right, so all of them All right, so this is being more realistic with life. All right, we don't have one clear metric, one clear outcome, one clear path. There's many paths that lead to the same destination. All right, some players will study like crazy and become great poker players this year. Some people will be grinding machines and become great poker players this year. Some people work on their mindset and become awesome, and some people work on their performance habits and become the best version of themselves. There's no one path, all right? So we come with the most common areas, but over the course of the year, so some will work better for you and some will work worse, all right? But this gives us some metrics, and at the end of the year, we can check in on ourselves. How well did we do with the things that we thought were important? All right, so these are intermediate goals. They're going to be metric based, but they're also going to be over a shorter time frame, like maybe a month, 2 months, working towards certain attributes. All right, so then finally, we go down to the most basic level of the goal setting process, which is often where most people set their goals, all right? And we're going to call these action-based goals, all right? So the things you need to do, all right? So I'll just put action goals. All right, and these are your habits and the things that you need to execute on to have a result. All right, so if you're trying to get in great shape, your action goals are go to the gym 3 times a week on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. All right, if your goal's to make a lot of money, you might have a saving goal, save X amount of money per week, per month, or something like that. All right, with this one, because we're trying to be a great poker player, now we're coming from mindset. All right, so each of these nodes would have its own action steps. All right, so my grinding action steps would be different to my studying. Goes without saying. All right, so for this one, mindset. Mindset, what are the action steps you could take? All right, some examples: meditate 10 minutes daily. All right. Another one could be a warm-up routine. All right, how many players actually warm up regularly? Not many. All right, but when you do, it really helps your mindset for the session ahead. And finally, you could join a coaching program of people who are working on their mindset and trying to level up in a group environment. All right, so there's many things you can do, actions you can take, but these are very specific. And when many people set their goals, they focus on maybe intermediate, but then do a lot of their time here. All right, as you can see, it all fits into a system, but there needs to be a hierarchy. All right, so why have we done this whole goal setting framework this way? First of all, this is the why based on your values and who you want to be. It's the most powerful level of change, and it motivates, it fuels the whole system. All right, then we give ourselves multiple success paths, multiple avenues to get to the outcome. All right, would you want one path that leads to victory, or do you want many paths? You want many paths, right? And that is very realistic with life. We can get to an outcome many different ways, all right? Some people who want to get in great shape this year will go keto. Some will go high carb. Some will go carnivore. Some will go intermittent fasting. Some will eat every 3 hours. There's many destinations to get to an outcome. And if it's a clear one, a kind of identity-based one, which motivates you, we can choose the paths we're going down, all right? And then we've got these action steps. So these are things that we need to be taking action every day, and we can track these. We can track these very accurately to see if we're moving forward towards our goals. Now, often, the good thing about these action steps here, they'll often improve many variables. All right, so for example, let's say your warm-up. Your warm-up will often improve your grinding performance. It will improve your studying, if you want to studying. It'll improve your mindset, and it'll improve your performance at the tables. All right, so often these can go upstream and affect many different nodes as well. All right, so think about your year, 2022. What do you want to achieve, and how are you going to achieve it? All right, start with an identity. I want to be, and then fill in the blank. All right, you have many of these. You have 4 or 5 of these for different areas of your life. But what's your overarching thing that you're aiming for? All right, be a great poker player. Simple. Grind more in high quality, study more, high quality, improve your mindset, improve your performance. To do that, you might want to meditate, warm up, and join a coaching program to improve your mindset. Studying, grinding, and performance would be different nodes as well. All right, so this gives a whole framework on how to achieve your goals. Now, on your journey, you're going to have some setbacks. And also, as you're setting your goals, there's better and worse ways to do it. All right, so I want to give some concepts which I find very powerful in order to set the right goals that lead to the most long-term changes and also allow me to stay on track with my goals longest. All right, so the first concept I want to share with you is approach versus avoidance. All right, so approach means you're going towards something. So for example, I want to achieve X amount of money in the year, or I want to lose X amount of weight, or I want to play X, Y stakes. And avoidance is I want to stop doing, all right? I want to stop wasting time on YouTube. I want to stop being on Netflix too much. I want to stop eating junk food close to bedtime. In general, if we can, we want to frame our goals in terms of approach, all right? Approach, not avoidance. Things that we're trying to get, all right? So anytime you have an avoidance goal, you want to say, I want to spend less time binge eating, for example. Change that to an approach goal. I want to spend more time eating healthy foods. I want to eat healthy foods before bed, all right? So the mind just works a lot better long term if we can approach things rather than avoid. And it goes without saying why that's the case, all right? When we're trying to avoid something, it generally means it's an inbuilt habit. We do it because it feels good or it's convenience, and there's a whole lot of kind of friction in that, all right? So if we change that to an approach goal, it's much more attainable and we're more motivated to pursue it. All right, second concept I find very interesting is rigid versus flexible goals. Some of you guys will set very rigid goals, meaning I want to achieve X amount of money, X landmark, and if you don't, if you're literally within a little bit of it but not quite, you'll be very strict on yourself. All right, so for example, let's say the goal is I want to hit the gym 5 times a week, and you hit the gym 4 times in a week, all right? If you are rigid, you might class that as a fail and go, right, I failed at that goal, didn't work out, I need to do better, and really be hard on yourself for doing 4 instead of 5. If you're flexible with your goals, you might be like, all right, I'm gonna aim for 5 times a week. I'm gonna give myself 1 buffer day. So for example, if I do 4, that's not in the world. I'm allowed a bit of flexibility over the course of the year. That doesn't mean you fall off your goals, but it means you allow that life can intervene sometimes and do not be so hard on yourself, all right? So it's really interesting the way we set goals. I used to be very rigid with my goals. Now I'm much more flexible, all right? And I realize 1 setback isn't the end of the world. We frame it better and move forward, all right? So think about your goals, try not to be too rigid with them, and try to set flexible frameworks that are adaptable to your life. All right, next kind of model I want to talk about is process versus outcome goals, all right? So all of these are process driven, all right? Process-driven goals, and the outcome is where you get to at the end of it. Now, a lot of people focus way too much on the outcome. The outcomes generally make a lot of money, be in great shape, and as a result, they end up wasting energy on that process. So for the process is all about realizing that 99% of your life, probably more, is going to be spent in the pursuit of something, all right, on the journey, all right, and the end point, the kind of on the podium, winning the tournament, having the money, having the girl, that's a fleeting moment. It's a small moment, all right? But most of us spend our energy and time on thinking about that thing and feeling incomplete, feeling inadequate, feeling like we're not good enough because we haven't quite got there, all right? So say for yourselves, think of the process, think of how can I focus my time, my energy on the path of getting there. So being a better poker player, as long as I am on the path to being a great poker player, just what does that involve? How am I being? How am I showing up each day? What version of myself am I showing up as? And really obsess on that. And once you do, you'll find you start moving towards your outcomes much, much quicker, and it removes all the friction and tension, all right? And then finally, we've got learning versus performance. Learning goals versus performance goals. Again, very often we set very specific performance measures, which are good in some respects, but also life's a big game of learning, all right? So in the model of becoming a great poker player, if it was all performance goals, performance, reach a certain stake, have a certain amount of money, we would be able to say a yes or no, pass or fail. But when we realize that we're going to have a lot of near misses on our journey, and we want to make sure that we're setting goals that allow for learning, all right? So I'm getting better. For example, all the studying, all the approaches to getting better, it's a learning model, all right? You might show up at a day and make some mistakes, but you learn from it, all right? So rather than being so black and white, we allow ourselves to be a bit more flexible with our approaches, and we allow it to realize, wait, some of my goals will involve me not being perfect, but I'm learning from the process, all right? You might shoot higher stakes, and rather than judging the performance of that, you learn. You judge base goals on the learning model instead, all right? And then finally, the framing of setbacks, I think, is one of the most important factors of whether you will or whether you won't achieve your goals this year. Because we're all going to have setbacks on the way. And some people are very all or nothing. They have a setback and they're like, told you so, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, not going to work out. Or they use the excuse of, I messed up one time, now I'm out of sync, out of habit, out of rhythm, I'm going to struggle going forward. Where in reality, we're all going to have setbacks throughout the year, all right? But the way you frame a setback is super, super important, all right? So you need to get in the habit of framing any setback as just a data point. All right. So, for example, let's say I want to become a great poker player, and let's say I mess up on my grinding, and I do no grinding for the day, and I do no studying for the day. All right. I could say, all right, Adam, you're failing at your goal. You're not going to be a great poker player. You suck. Or I could say, all right, today didn't work out. Not as good as I wanted to. Let's get back on track tomorrow. All right, there's this framing of these short-term moments, and that ability to get back on track is huge for your long-term success. All right, so ever think about how you're currently framing your successes and failures, and in particular, when things don't go your way, are you able to pick yourself up and get back going in the right direction quickly? All right, and if not, you need to do some work on your ability to reframe and put things into perspective. All right, guys, we covered a lot today. So just give a quick summary of the way I think you should approach crushing your goals in 2022. First of all, start with your identity goals, who you want to be. All right, this could be healthy, high-stakes poker player, whatever it comes to mind for you. Then go to your intermediate goals, which are the things that lead, the paths that lead to that outcome. And then finally, what actions you need to take. All right, generally starting new habits, building new approaches, but always know why. Once you've got this clear, the rest of it feed into it much more easily. Now, if you're a poker player who is serious about taking your performance to the next level in 2022, I'm excited to announce that I'm reopening my signature Poker Athlete program. This is a super limited coaching experience. I only take on 10 players every 2 or 3 months, and I'm reopening in mid-January, where I'll be walking 10 players through this 8-week program where we focus on one skill per week for 8 weeks, and we level that skill up from beginner to intermediate to elite levels. These are the 8 skills that are needed for elite level poker performance. It's in a group coaching platform, which is amazing for accountability and being a part of a team that's helping you to take things to the next level. I'll be your coach in there every single day, helping you, also live coaching every week and taking things to the next level. If that's interesting to you, click on the link in the description. There'll be a website page and there's an application form you can go through to apply for one of the limited spots. I'll be reading through all the applications over the next week or so and reaching out to those who qualify for the calls. All right, guys, that's all for today's video. If you did enjoy this, make sure you smash the like button before you go. There's plenty more coming from me very soon.